what BBC America is going to do about the Eighth Doctor, because like, they're showing the Second Doctor tomorrow during Opposite the Oscars, which, if I'm DVRing the second special, and then you have, like, they're going through all the Doctors, and who are they going to pick? Then what are they going to do about the Eighth Doctor? Are they going to just show his movie?
I mean, I guess they would have to just show the movie.
Yeah.
So, even though it wasn't, was it, like, it was Fox, it was on Fox, but was it from BBC?
It was a Fox production. I think they had acquired the rights from BBC. I don't know if BBC had anything to do with it, to be honest.
That's tricky, so we're going to have to see what happens in August.
They just play a Big Finish audio with still shots.
That would be awesome.
Like a reconstruction. But
that could be fun, because they could just do, like, that could be interesting. See what goes down.
So, anyways, this is episode 3 of Two Girls, a Guy in a TARDIS, which I now can say perfectly because I've had to type it so many times in the past 2 weeks.
There's Twitter, there's Facebook.
Yeah, you can find us everywhere now.
Oh yes.
I gotta do a G+ one still, but that's about it. I'm John.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Joanna.
And Nicole is freshly back from L.A.
Gone Hollywood.
Ooh. Nicole went Hollywood on us for a week and a half.
Lucky girl.
And you were at Gallifrey 1, which is we're definitely gonna have you tell us about that today, because that's kind of, I'm sure Joanna wants to hear about it. I want to hear about it. We want to live vicariously through you, and I'm sure our listeners that didn't get to go would like to listen and do the same. Yep. I was surprised to find out that there's only like 3,200 or 3,300 tickets for it.
Yeah, I think
for being the largest Doctor Who convention, I really thought it would have been bigger.
It's
a lot of people, but
it felt very large. The rooms were packed. Like, when you got to the final panels of the day, I mean, you'd, like, turn around and just look at the room, and, like, every seat was filled. It's standing room. It's like, you know, at Chicago TARDIS, it's pretty full, but there's still some seats. You can pretty much always get... It was, like, not an inch of space for, like, Sylvester McCoy and Freema that first night. It was, like, just complete wall of people.
Wow. I had heard she signed 1,500 autographs. I heard that on Radio Free Scarro's podcast. I don't know how official that number is, but that would mean that she signed half of autographs for half the people there.
Well, they keep track.
Because they interviewed her, and I've seen interviews with her before, and she really is a nice person, you know. Mm-hmm. In the interview they did with her, I mean, she seemed delightful, you know, and hopefully one day we get to do that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Which would be really awesome. Mm-hmm. But, I found out we're not the only Chicago Doctor Who podcast.
Oh.
Right? There's one post on the forums for the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance right before us. It's one guy that does his own, and it's a Doctor Who one based in Chicago.
Mm.
But we're cooler because there's 3 of us doing it, and we have 3 different perspectives.
That's true. I got 2 girls.
Yeah. Yes. And we have a TARDIS. And you can see it in our new photo.
Yes.
Which I'm really happy you guys like. That's awesome. So, okay, so back to, I guess let's just go into, is there any news anybody heard? I didn't really hear much. I mean, there is a pretty kick-ass Bluetooth speaker that somebody is, Who Sounds Limited is selling for the 50th anniversary that I wouldn't mind getting. But I don't really think I know much else about anything going on.
All I know that tomorrow at opposite the Oscars they have the second Doctor special, so I'm sure BBC America is going to air it on repeat, so, or you could just DVR it, so it should be fine. So if you want to know anything about the second Doctor, DVR or watch the second Doctor special on BBC America tomorrow on Sunday.
The 23rd.
Yep.
4th? 3rd?
24th.
24th.
Wow.
Which is not putting any pressure on me at all to edit and post this.
Nope. So, more than likely, BBC America is going to air it in rerun, so no loss there.
What story is it that they're going to show?
Tomb of the Cybermen.
Oh, is it? It's Tomb of the Cybermen? That's a classic. That's a good one. The Cybermen in that are definitely unique.
Yeah.
So,
They've got that weird mouth hole that totally, to me, ruins the look of the head as being...
Oh, the fact that they're basically wrapped in silver plastic doesn't ruin the look of them.
Well, the head would be okay, except they've got that, like, really large mouth hole that I don't know what a Cyberman needs that for.
To talk.
But it's not like they're cyber. It could come out...
That's true.
Anywhere. It doesn't have to be right where the mouth is.
Comes out of, like, their elbow. But,
their eyes.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I haven't really seen or heard anything, you know. I think Joanna told me Moffat finally has come out and said, don't expect there just to be one 60-minute special.
Yeah, that was in his Gallifrey interview.
Okay. And, that was pointless of me to say, because guess who was there and heard it live? Do you trust Stephen Moffat saying that, though?
No. When my friends told me, don't trust Moffat, he lied.
Him and the doctor, they lie. That was the quickest answer I've ever gotten from anybody in my life.
But, yeah, he said it was, like, rubbish or something, the idea that it would be an hour, and of course he reassured people that there would be a Christmas special.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Because people were panicking.
Yeah.
He was like, of course there's a Christmas special.
And Matt Smith, yeah, but he also said Matt Smith is staying forever.
That I don't believe, but...
So let's just hop to Gallifrey 1. The show's kind of yours this time around.
Well... Speaking of Moffat, this was something I was, like, dying to share, because I was like, this totally goes with that. They were talking, because, you know, people there, like, there were 2 directors from the new series there, and they were, like, talking about Moffat. And they did say he made them promise, but they broke their promise, I guess, not to say that his scripts were always late. So they were talking about how sometimes, I don't know if it's just Stephen Moffat, but others, like, they're, like, filming with no script.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, I was like, how? But it comes, but they start filming without a script.
Well, what would you film without a script? You need the script to know. I mean,
yeah.
It's not like the old series where you could be, like, taking B-stock shots of a quarry.
Yeah, but no, they were like, sometimes you're filming without a script, and I was like, this totally explains my problem with some of the recent stories. They were like, sometimes you, like, ask Stephen Moffat, like, well, why did this happen? How does this work? And he's just like, oh, it's magic.
I don't know what to say to that.
Because
I like the stories, but part of me is like, it's not Harry Potter. It shouldn't be magic. But,
exactly.
You know, I mean...
But, yeah, I was like, like Angels Take Manhattan.
But I think that goes back...
Good story, but it made no sense.
But I think that goes back to the point we made, or we tried to make before, about... If the show was allowed to have more than, like, 44 minutes, he could explain more stuff where you wouldn't have those issues. And like I said before, I don't want to say, like, film 30 episodes a year at, you know... I mean, Freema said that their film schedule was, like, 8 months or something.
Yeah.
It was, like, huge. And then these guys are filming for, like, 4, you know? But if they had maybe 60 solid minutes... You know, so the show would be, you know, maybe, or divide it into 2 episodes like they used to. Something,
yeah.
You know, to give him more time to be able to do it. But, you know, I guess magic works. I mean, the episodes are still fun to watch.
But it was really funny because I was like, I have to tell you this, which I know we've talked about this, I think, every podcast. But the director
All 2 of them.
of The
All 3
Power of Three was there. And they did a screening of it while he was, like, giving a commentary.
What's his name? Because I believe I heard an interview with him, and I felt bad because I'm like, oh no, it was the director that did Dinosaurs on a Spaceship.
Yeah,
That's who I heard an interview with. And I'm like, okay, he sounds like a really nice guy.
Yeah, Power of Three was Douglas McKinnon.
Okay.
But he was talking about it, and somebody asked him at the end, they were like, you know, the doctor wouldn't, like, what happened to the people on that spaceship? Like, the doctor doesn't even mention, like, what, and he was like, yeah, they probably died. and they were like, well, why wouldn't the doctor mention that? He's like, he kind of basically admitted, it was kind of like, yeah, we just didn't really think of that. Like,
well, and ultimately, he's the director, not the writer.
But he was just kind of like, no one really thought about that, because it was like a last-minute commissioned script. So,
really?
like, Chris Chibnall was actually on vacation already, and he was supposed to be on a work-free vacation, I believe they said. So he'd, like, tell his wife or something like, oh, I'm going out for, like, a run or a ride or something, and he'd bring, like, his laptop. Because he was, like, sneaking off to work because he wasn't supposed to be working on this family vacation.
How does that happen on a show that had, like, 8 months or 9 months between series?
Yeah, but they were talking about how, like, and the focus was supposed to be to show the life of the Ponds. So they really focused on, like, the first 2/3. And then that last part with the alien invasion was just kind of, like,
haphazard.
Thrown on there in the end to, like, try and wrap it up. It was... But I was listening and going, like, I loved that he was just like... And he said, but you listen to these people, and it was amazing that the show makes any sense. Because you listen to, like, the directors, the actors, they were like, they have no idea what is going on.
Doesn't it almost take away from it in a sense, knowing that, though? I mean, it's kind of like... You could I could forgive, like, watching an episode... I forgive a lot in sci-fi. Okay, I love science fiction because you can make up whatever you want. So I forgive a lot, but... You have a show that has such a rabid fan base that spans 50 years. And, you know, there's been people that have answered, well, you know, it's just a TV show. I don't think people the people that work on the show need to need to understand that they're going to get asked questions about stuff that people see that doesn't make sense. No matter how minute. Like, why was Sylvester McCoy not carrying his umbrella in the one episode? I mean, you're going to get that question.
Mm-hmm. Well, people did, but, I mean, and it was kind of refreshing in some ways that the director was totally like, yeah,
I'm with you.
I think we just didn't think of it. Like,
well,
know, there was so much going on, nobody really thought to explain it. But you listen to these people talk, and it was amazing to me. Like Frances Barber, who was Madame Kavorian.
Yeah.
She was talking, and she was like, she kept saying, she was like, I had no idea what was going on. She was like, they gave me lines to say, and I was like, what is going on? They're like, well, just say these. We can't tell you what's going on. And she had no idea, like, where her story was completely going. She just said the lines. And or the Wedding of River Song, they were saying, because Ian McNeice was there, and I want to say Richard Hope, the guy that played the Silurian, and they were like, he didn't know why he was there. Ian McNeice had no idea what Churchill was doing as the emperor of the world or whatever. He was just like, they just call you in and you do it, and they don't tell you, like, this is how you fit into the story. It's just, this is your piece, go do it. And they have no idea how it's all going to come together. And I was like...
But, you know, another way to look at that is that it's almost genius, because that's a good way to... Was that like did a cat growl?
No, that's my... She hit my mic. Sorry.
You know, it's almost a genius way of doing it, though, if you don't want things to leak out.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to have the information to be able to say and slip and say something they shouldn't, I guess.
But I think it would be difficult as an actor that you're going like,
well, I think...
What is my motivation here?
But I would think the big part actors would know what's going on. Like, I know a lot of shows and a lot of movies give people scripts that are only their parts, or, like, not the full script, and, you know, like, not all the scenes. And I can understand why, you know. And I'm wondering if it's kind of that kind of situation where it's like, okay, here's the 2/3 of the show you're in. You don't need to know about the rest.
But, yeah,
you still think they need to know their motivation and stuff. I mean,
because she was saying she had no idea. Like, she was delivering these lines, and she's like, I hope that's how I'm supposed to deliver them, but she had no idea. She was really funny. She could tell she, like, was totally not, like, a Doctor Who fan. She had no idea what went on in the show. And she was like, but she enjoyed it, but she was just like, she kept saying, like, I still don't know what happened. Like, I still don't understand it. But they said they filmed 2 versions of the end of the Wedding of River Song, one where she died and one where she didn't. And she didn't know which one they were going to use. So she was like, she went to see it for the first time with Stephen Moffat, and she saw that she died, and she was disappointed, obviously. And she said to Stephen Moffat, it was so funny, she was like, oh, I'm really disappointed, that I'm dead. And he was, and I guess, I was like, so would he use her again? Because according to her, he was like, you don't understand this show at all, do you? He's like, that was in an alternate timeline. So I'm like, I guess she could come back.
There's a lot of alternate timelines in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, but I just loved that. I was like, I assumed she was done. I'm assuming she probably won't come back. But Stephen Moffat was like, you could. Like, don't get too disappointed. You might not. You're dead in an alternate timeline. You could still. I was like, oh. But that must be weird to not know if you were going to be killed or not. Because, yeah, there was. She said they filmed 2 versions. She wasn't told which one they were going to use. But it was bizarre to me to listen to, like, people not knowing. Like she said, they had her film all those little, like, inserts after she filmed her episode. So she was just told to, like, say these lines, and they're like, say it. And she was like, there's some guy that, like, operated the little hatch she stuck her head out of.
Wow.
And, she'd, like, stick her head out and say this line, and she had no idea what it meant. It was just, okay, now say this. And she'd say it, and then someone would slam the hatch, which she said they almost took off her nose once, because they'd really slam it shut.
You'd mentioned the Wedding River song and the 2 different endings or whatever. The one bit of news, or not news, but rumor I heard that a lot of people seem to be in a little bit of an uproar about, or tizzy about, was supposedly in the series finale this year, you see River Song's tombstone. Or somewhere along one of the episodes. And people are like, well, how could she have a tombstone? Because she died in the library. And then people are like, well, maybe it's just, he put it there like as an honorary thing. And I'm like, it'll be explained.
Yeah.
It's not like a big deal. Like, something to me that is like, no. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I just want it to look better than the styrofoam one they used for Rory. Because here's poor Rory, who's always been like the third wheel. His tombstone looked like the fakest thing ever in a sci-fi episode.
Oh, that was another thing the other director was talking about. I should remember their name. Saul Metzing. He was talking, he did commentary on Dinosaurs on a Spaceship.
Right.
And he also did A Town Called Mercy, which he said he didn't want to show there because he didn't want to have to show the American setting of the Old West to a bunch of Americans. So he went with Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. But it was really funny because he was talking about how he thought Arthur Darvill was so underused.
Oh, extremely.
Because he said he kept, like, fighting, like, can't you give Arthur more lines? Like, in A Town Called Mercy, he says almost nothing. I was like, he was totally a third wheel in that.
I heard he was interviewed. Like, it's funny, you hear, like, an interview that people do on a podcast with these guys. It's almost what they say at their panel, or parts of it are. Mm-hmm. And I heard that same thing, and he said, he's like, this guy's really funny, he's really good at delivering lines, you need to give him more lines. And he mentioned how, like you said, well, he mentioned to you too, or not to you, but on the panel, that there's episodes where Rory says, like, nothing.
Yeah.
Or, like, there's 10 minutes, and then Rory's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes of nothing.
Yeah, but he was, and even he was, like, talking about his episode, and he's like, and he was proud of it, but he's going, like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, he's like, I don't know why the Doctor felt like he needed a gang. Like,
an entourage.
It's just in the script, so we go with it. Like,
and it was just weird. It was just a weird set of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see if it was Rory, Amy, and Dad. It makes perfect sense. But Nefertiti? and a big game hunter? Mm-hmm. It's like, huh. And then there were so many people that took exception to him hanging out with a big game hunter. And it's like, well, yeah, he's sexist and he hunts, animals, elephants or whatever. But you also kind of need to not rewrite history and think back to what the time was like when that guy would have existed.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't ever do. Like, back then, right or wrong, that's how things kind of were,
And they were making him adjust a little.
Yeah, and he learned, and in the end, he was with Nefertiti. you know? So he saw how things change and could be different or whatever. But to, like, just be, you know, there were people that complained about that so bad, and people that complained how the Doctor was a murderer because he murdered the crippled guy. I'm like, oh, you mean the crippled guy that, like, committed genocide to take over a spaceship? That crippled guy?
Yeah, I had.
In fact, the way the Doctor gave him a chance to actually do it, I would have chucked his ass out an airlock.
Yeah, watching it again with him, he was like talking about, like, you see the Doctor. Yeah, the Doctor gave him like more than one chance to just leave and be done with it, and he persisted in being evil. So
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, a lot of the newer fans that never saw a lot of the older episodes. I mean, it's not the first time the Doctor's done something like that.
No.
I mean, he gave what episode was it? Was it Tom Baker that gave somebody a gun to, like, kill themselves? Kinda.
I think that was Tom Baker.
Yeah, it was like, I don't remember what episode it was even, but I remember Tom Baker giving him the gun and the guy doing it. And I was like, wow.
But yeah, there was, like, for that, it was interesting to hear the directors going like, yeah, we aren't really sure.
We just kind of show up.
We film the script we get, and we don't always understand it. But it was...
I don't know how to think about that. I really don't.
I mean, they get most of it, but even like that, they can't always explain everything that someone's doing, or like the Doctor's motivation for gathering a gang. He was just like, I don't know. That's just... Well,
excited.
the best was Freema talking about people were asking her how her character ended up married to Mickey. They were like asking her, they're like,
it's just because it's just mentioned in the Torchwood episode.
No, she's with him at the end of time.
Well, they leave together, and they leave with Jack.
But they were like...
But the wedding they mentioned in the Torchwood episode before Tennant's swan song.
But they were like, why, you know, like, why did you marry him? What was going on? And it was so funny to hear her answer. She was like, they were like, did you come up with, you know, a story about how you ended up with Mickey? And she was like...
That's a good point.
You could tell she was trying to find a way to explain it, and the moderator was like, I'm going to take that as a no. Like, you didn't have... And she was saying, no, not really. But she explained how Russell T. Davies explained it to her, which shows how illogical some things are. He liked the idea of her becoming Martha Smith-Jones because her first episode was Smith and Jones. And that is the reason he had her marry Mickey, so that she could be Martha Smith-Jones. And it tied back to her first Doctor Who episode.
I just kind of thought that there was good chemistry between them on screen. You know, I mean, and they both walked off and went away to join Torchwood, you know, together.
That was his rationale for marrying the two of them. He liked her being Martha Smith-Jones. He just liked the pairing of the names.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I, again, agree with Joanna on that one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Was she asked why he was nowhere to be found in the episode where she worked for UNIT? Oh, wait, that was before they would have got married.
Before,
that was before,
yeah.
She
She was with the Doctor that she saved the world with. And then, yeah, because people were saying, you were with, you know, this Doctor, you know, you were so happy, and then what happened with your character? Did you explain? She was just like,
Wait, she was with a doctor, right? She was dating a doctor.
Yeah, I think she was engaged to the Doctor at one point, maybe even.
But that was after she left.
That was when she was working for UNIT.
You guys were telling me last time that was when she was working for UNIT.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought, yeah.
But, yeah, it was... You'd hear that, you're like, oh, glad to know a lot of thought went into these character developments here. It was
you don't need to, because that's why there's so much fan fiction. We'll take care of that for you.
Yeah. But she did not come up with a story to explain that. She was trying desperately to, like, come up with some kind of explanation, I think, and...
Couldn't do it. In fact, to be honest, I think they should look at some of the fan fiction people have written once in a while. Not that the writers aren't good. They are good. You know, even Christian Ball. I mean, he's written good episodes. Everyone writes good stuff, bad stuff. I mean, I have 3 ongoing stories on the website, and who the hell am I? And I'm pretty sure a normal real writer would look at it and be like, "What are you, 14?" You know. So, but I think there are. I don't think fans should be discounted when it comes to ideas just because they're fans and not professional writers. A lot of the fan fiction I've read, I mean, I emailed you guys the link for the comic, right? A lot of that was really well done and really felt like you were watching a Doctor Who episode. You know? So I do think at times they should kind of like once in a while just scan the forums and be like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Especially when when people are trying to come up with ideas or spoilers of how things might work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, because sometimes the fans come up with ideas that really make more sense. And after what you just told us about the directors and the writers and the actors, it's kind of like, huh.
Well, I sometimes wonder, I mean, there wasn't like a new series writer there, but it would have been really tempting to ask, like, well, how much does the writer get to know about the storyline and where it's going?
Because if you're just writing it,
but if you're doing like, you know,
are you talking about like for an overall story arc?
No, I'm saying like, you know, because Moffat has that, but like if you're doing just like dinosaurs on a spaceship,
right?
Do you like know what threads you're working in? Do you know what, or does he just? Does he just say you need to work this in? I'm not telling you how it fits into the end.
I'm assuming Moffat has somebody write it, and then Moffat just takes it and adds or subtracts what he thinks is necessary.
Maybe
is what I would assume.
I have a thought about that because I know Neil Gaiman was told to make Cybermen scary again, so maybe they're given a direction and they go somewhere with it, or
I would assume
there's some hand holding.
I think it would almost depend on the writer. I mean, it's hard to take a guy like Neil Gaiman and be like, okay, well, here's what I want you to do. I only want you to do this little chunk. And
mm-hmm.
I mean, not to discount the other writers, but, I mean, the guy's, you know, written comics and graphic novels and books. And if you've never read, what was it called? American Gods? Yeah, if you've never read American Gods, I haven't finished it yet. I started it. I recommend it. It's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant book. You know, it's about old gods coming to America and being shuffled out by new gods. And new gods, it's almost comical, but it's so exactly what it should. You would think. It's really well done. So, I mean, I don't think you could take like somebody like him and be like, okay, well, here, do this little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I also think that if you're going to have a writer for the show, it should be someone that knows something about the show. And I think at least now all the writers do.
Yeah.
I do miss the old days where every other episode you'd see written by Terrence Dicks. But
yeah, I just wonder. I was like, I wonder how much of the overall story arc the writers know going in, like how they're, because a lot of them are kind of like, especially this. See, I mean, they can be kind of standalones, but they've got like a little
like Series 7A.
They've got a little bit of a thread going. I was like, I wonder how much do the writers just go, okay, I know I'm writing for these characters, an adventure, that's it. But, or do they know, like, okay, I'm writing this story, and then, but they even changed the order, because people were pointing out, and it was really funny to hear the director was like, yeah, that's the explanation. They were like, in The Power of Three, they visit Henry VIII. But in A Town Called Mercy, someone makes reference to visiting Henry VIII. And that's the episode before. So someone was like, what is... And then they were like,
timey-wimey.
They were like, but the person actually supplied an answer, and the director was like, yeah, that's it. They were like, or does A Town Called Mercy take place during, like, when they go off in the TARDIS in the other episode? And he was like, yeah, that's it.
That would be the better explanation for it.
That's the fans supplied the answer, and he went, yeah, that's it.
I said this on the PTO Gamer podcast when Erica was on it and you were on it, that I'm so damn tired of hearing timey-wimey as an explanation for stuff, that explanation actually makes sense. And that fan probably took 5 minutes to come up with it. Because it makes perfect sense that, okay, they were gone for 10 years. Or 10 minutes or whatever it was, but they did a lifetime of it. It makes perfect sense. That, you know... The whole, how'd this happen? Well, you know, timey-wimey. No. That was cute, and it worked for the first, you know, Matt Smith series. Now, come up with a better way of saying it.
You know what? Is it, the simplest answer is always the best answer. And
Occam's
that is
razor?
the simplest answer. I mean, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, it's not a simple answer.
No, it's really not.
It's a cop-out.
It is.
Mm-hmm. But it's magic.
That's a cop-out, too.
That's Moffat's explanation. It's magic. You don't need to explain it. Doesn't have to make sense.
And I can agree with that on some things. Do I need to know how the TARDIS works now that there's no, supernova supplying it, no Eye of Harmony and all that? Do I need to understand how it works? No. Did they explain it originally? Yes. He modified it to accept energy from a rift. Fine. Although now, isn't it ironic that didn't they seal off all the rifts and cracks in space and time after the reset with everything? I mean,
yeah, I don't think they specifically addressed anything with that, so there could still be. I did not realize they said David Tennant was like horrible with props. I guess he broke them a lot. But they said he had no idea. David Tennant has no idea what, like, he would just like flip things on the TARDIS. They said Matt Smith knows what every lever and button on the TARDIS does.
But I heard that they made the TARDIS the way it looks now because Matt Smith kept breaking it.
He kept falling off of it.
Oh, really? Is that what it was?
That's why they put a railing around the area with the TARDIS console. He kept sliding off the platform. So they had to put a railing because, he kind of slides into shots. But they said, the director said, you will say, like, well, could you go around this way so I can get this shot? And he'll be like, no, because that lever won't make the TARDIS take off. I have to hit this lever over here.
Well, it's nice to see he's using the same lever every time.
Yeah.
The same levers every time, at least.
They said David Tennant he just did things. And they said, like, people were talking about, a lot of people, like, I think it might have been Ben Browder said, when he came on the set, Matt Smith was like, would you like a tour of the TARDIS? And, like, several people mentioned Matt Smith giving them a tour, and he takes them in, and he shows them the console and says, like, this lever makes it, take off, and this lever is for this, and then you push this button, and he actually tells them what all these imaginary buttons and levers does. Like,
that is awesome. It's really cool, though. Like, it's nice to see him that into it, that he really does care about, what he does.
Yeah.
Which is nice, and it's what that's what you hope,
Yeah, you could tell he was. But they told there was the woman there who did the costuming. It was June Hudson did the costuming for like the last few years of Tom Baker, and she was talking about. You could tell she like adored Tom Baker.
He was pissed when they changed his costume.
But she said he was. I think she was responsible for changing it. But she said, he said whatever you want to put me in. Okay, I'm in your hands now. And she was like, he's such a gentleman-like man. He wears clothes so well. She was like, but she told a story, too, where she was saying he was great with kids on the set.
I could see that.
They said he always made sure the TARDIS doors were closed so that they couldn't see that it wasn't really bigger on the inside. And he was always in costume. And she said he would look at the kids and he'd tell them, like, oh, I saw you when I was looking out of your TV. He's like, you were sitting on a sofa. And the kids would go, oh my God, he did see us. And she said the kids just were like, oh, he really is the doctor. Look at what he can do. And I was like, well, that's kind of nice to know that he was that careful, like with kids, that she said. That was always.
He wanted the magic to remain.
Yeah, he didn't want them to see anything that would disillusion them that wasn't real. But she said, which I thought you would appreciate, someone asked her if she would change the costumes of any of the doctors. And she did kind of mention, she was like, well, that multicolored coat, and then she was like, well, she said, but I can't picture it with anything else. And then she said, well, every costume can't be tasteful. I was like, oh my God. But she didn't quite, but she wasn't that fond, you got the impression, of Colin Baker's.
No one was.
And she left, I guess, partially because she, submitted sketches for Peter Davison's costume. And they kind of ignored it, I think, and did their own thing, so she.
I think Davison's costume fit him well, though. I think it worked out fine. But at some point, Tom Baker's was a little Victorian kind of almost. But I feel bad that she left the show. Mm-hmm. But Peter Davison's costuming wasn't bad.
Yeah, well, she didn't act like she was... It was just the idea
Yeah.
that she'd submitted these sketches and then they completely disregarded her. But I loved that with Colin, because you could tell she was trying not to be rude about it at all. And then when she came up, she also wasn't that fond of Eccleston's leather jacket, I guess. She would have done something different, but then she was like, well, it suits him.
It suited him, and when I first saw it that way, I thought it was great that they did it that way. It was like, he's current with the times. He doesn't because a lot of the Doctor's outfits are so flamboyant. I mean, John Pertwee,
The dandy.
Yeah, the dandy. I mean, they wouldn't. You couldn't see them fitting in some of the time periods they would go to.
Yeah.
Where people have worn leather jackets for probably 100 and some years. Probably hundreds of years. So you could see him blending rather well in some, aspects. Mm-hmm. Or, but where the hell was Colin Baker's costume?
Was...
The Psychic Circus, maybe? I don't know.
Oh my God, he won an award in the Masquerade. There was a man there that had, a perfect replica of that coat.
You'd have to give him an award because that's a ballsy move to wear that outfit.
But I think he'd, sewn it himself, and it was amazing. I think I have a picture of it, but it was I mean, it was amazing to take the time to do that frock coat or whatever they...
Well, the cosplayers are just amazing. I mean...
Oh, there was a Zygon?
The amount of stuff they do. Oh, really?
The most impressive monster there. I don't know how people come up with some of the costumes they do.
Sometimes they look better than the originals.
Yeah.
How, did you hear anything about the upcoming, season?
Well...
Was there anything that they other than it's more the special?
For the most part, the directors weren't allowed to say much. They kept saying, well, I think I can say... Because I forget which one of them. I should remember. But one of them directed the Ice Warrior episode.
Okay.
And he was talking about... And they said Nicholas Briggs was doing the voice of the Ice Warriors.
He got cast to play the role of Peter Hawkins, the original voice of the Daleks, which is perfectly fitting because Briggs is the. They kind of look just enough alike, and Briggs is he's done a brilliant job with the Dalek voice. So
yeah, they're on it, but he said it's, and he did say so that definitely it was Cold War was the name of it, and it's on I think he said a sinking submarine.
Okay.
And then the Ice War... And he said it's a twist on the Ice Warriors, because he said it's not just a straightforward... There's some kind of twist in there about the Ice Warriors. But he obviously couldn't say
they're
what.
They're blind. They actually can't survive in the cold.
There was something that he said it was kind of like a... But he was very excited about that, and he was obviously very excited that he was allowed to say that he had directed the story that's bringing back the Ice Warriors. Because, opening ceremonies, he got on the stage, and that was, what he said. He was like, I'm bringing back the Ice Warriors. It's but I mean, that was... And, well, that was probably one of the highlights for me, was I actually got to speak to Dan Starkey. Personally.
The Sontaran.
Mm-hmm. Because they were just... because, he and, Neve McIntosh, they were just, hanging around sometimes. So I was, talking to him, and he said to me, because I was asking him, how... I like Strax, but how is he back? Do we ever know this? And he said, yes, they've filmed a scene that will explain why he's not dead.
Yeah, the rumor was they had filmed the scene already.
Yeah, he said
they just never used it.
He said they filmed it, and I think he said it might be an extra on the DVD or something.
Yeah, so it's never going to probably be in an actual episode, but yeah.
But he said that it is explained somewhere, and they're in 2 episodes this season. He said. Yeah,
they're in the series finale, and then they're in the.
There's a Victorian
the one that takes place
with
the factory or something. Yeah. Oh, what the hell? Something red.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about it last
But
week.
they were talking, and really, I always thought that was a fan fantasy that they would get their own series, but both of them kept talking about the possibility of them getting their spinoff.
It would be great. I would watch that.
Both of them were kind of
But,
okay, we're hoping.
But you know what? You have to have one episode of it where they're like running one way, and like Cumberbatch and the guy that plays his Watson are running the other way. Like in Victorian times, though, just like they run past each other and maybe even bump in. Oh, excuse me, and just keep going. I think that would be like brilliant.
But yeah, they were talking about being in, and I always was thinking that maybe that was just fans hoping that they would get their spin-off, but they were talking about it like, yeah, we're hoping.
Well, they like work.
Yeah. Oh, everyone there was like, well, people kept asking them, would you come back for the 50th if they asked? Would you do an... And of course, everybody
Who's
said
going to say
yes.
no, especially at a convention? Man, no, screw that.
Well, and a lot of them were very honest, like, I just want a job. Like, if this gets me a job, then yes, I am there for as long as they want me. I just want work. Because several of them, like, didn't have work at the moment.
A lot, and some of them are excellent actors that do the, like, extra stuff, like... what's the Santana guy's Starkey?
Dan Starkey, yeah.
Dan Starkey. I mean, he's not a bad actor at all. But,
Yeah, they said a lot of them were like, well, I don't have... Because people would ask, too, what are you doing now? And some of them said, well, I don't have...
Well, other than this convention? Not a whole lot.
I don't have anything at the moment, but they were... Some people really were like, I would be back in a heartbeat. I want a job. It was a good experience. It's a nice set. I want to be back.
Ooh, you know what? I do have one thing that I read. Remember we talked about the doctor's daughter? And we're like, whatever happened with that? I was reading that the original script called for her to stay dead. Russell T. Davis wanted her to stay dead. Moffat campaigned to have her come back to life. And they don't know if it's just because it's a character he wrote and he doesn't like killing off his characters, or if he wants her open-ended in case he decides to use her again. So there's a good possibility we could see her come back sometime. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I thought that was interesting that he campaigned for it, but it's been 3 seasons, or 3? 3? He's ran the show for 3 series? Yeah.
This is his
3.
third, yeah.
And there's no sign of her. So, maybe he forgot.
Also, the actress has been pregnant. Or she currently is
Well,
pregnant
not for 3 years.
Very long pregnancy.
I'm sure there was a pause in there somewhere. But I mean, I thought it'd be neat to bring. Yeah, her and Tennant have one child. I know for a fact. I don't know if it's 2. I know it's 1.
I think is she pregnant again now or something? There's a
Possibly.
second child somewhere in there.
Oh, there could be
the mix. I
a clone.
think.
But it would be neat to see her come back for an episode. It would have been neat to have seen her come back as a companion, kind of how Susan. Wait, no, not Susan. Yeah, Susan in the Doctor's granddaughter.
Yeah,
right, Susan. It would have been neat to have had that kind of almost feel to it, Mm-hmm. But who knows?
Yeah, that was. But yeah, there was very little new information about the new series because everyone is.
I'm amazed at how well they've kept all the secrets.
I mean, Sylvester McCoy was on the panel where they asked again, would you? But they asked, would you want to come back for the 50th? And I mean, he does not. Well, he doesn't answer any questions straight, really.
No, he's like talking to the guy, like the troll under a bridge that it makes you answer 3 questions.
Yeah, he did not answer the question at all, basically. He got off, because then I think it was the fans suggested that the doctors could the former doctors could all play, like, monsters or something. So then Sylvester McCoy got off on this, like, how you would do that, and he never really answered the question, I didn't think. He just kind of went off, but that's what makes him entertaining.
He was great to see. I mean, when we saw him in Chicago, and I'm sure he's just as good in Los Angeles.
Well, I was telling you, this time I said he didn't even stay on the stage. He just came out and stood there for a moment, and he always entered the stage through the TARDIS. They had a little TARDIS off to the side that you could come through. Most people didn't. He always entered the stage through the TARDIS. And then he just left the stage and roamed around the audience for his whole hour, just going up to people, oh, you have a question? Okay, what's your question? And he'd like banter with, like, somebody asked him, like, can I have a picture with you? And he actually was kind of like, well, that's against the rules, but the doctor's all about breaking the rules, so yes, let's take one. And then they'd, like, take a picture, and he'd go... And he could totally, I mean, whatever anybody asked him, he could handle it. If it was something he didn't want to answer or just a bizarre question, he'd just give a bizarre answer. And
wow.
I mean, he just, nobody, I mean, I don't know if everybody could roam around the audience and just, but nobody was going to, like, when he let them take the picture, I was like, does this mean a bunch of people are just going to keep asking, well, can you take a picture with me? Can you, but, like, nobody did that.
You know, it's funny, on their Twitter account for Gallifrey 1, they put a message saying how we do not condone people posting full filmings of the panels onto YouTube or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's fine, and I can understand where they're coming from, but finding out that they only have 3,200 or 3,300 tickets, it's kind of like, okay, then, you know, instead of... I mean, okay... There's millions of fans that would want to hear and see what happened. Either start your own YouTube channel, film it, and put it up there yourself. I mean, why not at that point? Once you sell out the tickets, what's the difference? You know? Why is it a big... You know, it's not like it's copyrighted material. It's not like someone's ripping a movie and putting it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of understand where they're, in a sense, where they're coming from, but they're not losing revenue from it or anything. And... there's how many people would want to see it that couldn't be there, you know? I just think there's some way they could find, like, a better, a medium, like I said, maybe do it themselves. You know, have an official, you know, how about have, like, a live web feed from there where you pay $20 a day or whatever to watch panels, you know, or something. Mm-hmm. Then you wouldn't have that problem. You wouldn't have people doing that.
Oh, there was a guy sitting in front of me. Oddly enough, I guess people gravitate towards the same seats because he was in front of me like all 3 days.
I think he gravitates towards you.
And he was recording the whole... I mean, he just... That was his thing. In
Chicago.
He was recording the whole thing all day, every day, all the panels. He just recorded them. And although he did have some trouble with Sylvester McCoy then, because...
Oh, he was moving all over the place.
Who could keep track of him?
That was Sylvester McCoy's form of copy protection.
He was all over. Yeah, I told you I was trying to take pictures. He was literally right behind me, and I couldn't get a picture because even though he was right behind me, he is never still. He's gone. Like, by the time you get the camera up, he's moved on. He's somewhere else, and you're like, wait a second. All my pictures of him, he's like a blur because he just never stops.
So what panels did you see then? You saw a bunch of them, I'm assuming. You were there. Did you go all 3 days?
Yeah.
4? 3?
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, 3 days.
Did you see any celebrities, just out of curiosity, other than the people on the panels? Like, did you see, like, Chloe Dykstra walking by? Or
I
Chris
did
Hart?
see her.
Because a lot of people supposedly saw her, running around there.
Yeah, I did see her, but I didn't see Chris Hardwick.
Well, he's big time now. You wouldn't, he wouldn't.
But I wondered if he was, because she was there.
He was there because Nerdist was doing. They did something there. They had either they hosted a panel or something. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I'd heard that they were supposedly doing something there.
Yeah, I think they were recording because they were doing the cosplay.
Oh, all right.
Show.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
So they were doing that, but I didn't actually see, for the most part, anyone. I just saw her walking around because she was in her Clara barmaid outfit. But it was, that to me though there was just what blew me away, like the detail of a lot of the cosplay there. It's amazing how much time and energy these people are putting into the.
Well, how long did your Amy Pond outfit take to come up with, to get together?
Not long. That's why I do the Amy Pond, because apparently I dress like her already. I just take things out of my closet.
You kind of dress like her already. You've never shown up wearing a police officer's outfit,
no.
But
No, I don't have that. But all I needed was the wig.
Yeah.
A couple things. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
On April 6th, my friend's Hooniverse photo shoot is going to be on April 6th. So details to come later, so both of you are invited.
That's cool. I don't do much. I don't actually dress up, though. I don't have any costumes.
You know, you could be a random companion. Who picks up from out of nowhere. Doctor does that.
That's true.
Future companion.
I'm sure I can look through somewhere and find some outfit that I could wear that would match. So April 6th, I gotta see if I have that. I gotta try to have that date open.
Yeah.
Seriously, because it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's tons of cosplayers there. Phil, he plays an old school master. The all black with the black goatee.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The classic like Bond villain kind of master.
Yes.
I love that.
There's a couple of him at Gallifrey.
Nice.
He was one of those.
Oh, he was there?
Yeah. Phil, yeah. He was there at Galley 1, and so was someone else who I know.
Nice.
But
then I might have seen him because I saw the old school masters.
Nice.
But yeah, it just amazed me because mine is. I don't have the money to invest, for one thing, in elaborate costumes at the moment, and I don't sew, so I can't sit there and whip up a costume either.
That's true.
But yeah, my Amy Pond doesn't take that because it was all literally stuff from my closet.
I'd like to be the Doctor or Jack or Captain Jack, but I really have the body more for Dorian. So yeah.
Paint you blue.
Not happening. I could be a Captain Jack after he's let himself go for a few years.
oh boy. What about Rory's dad or Rory himself?
Same thing. It'd have to be Rory after he lets himself go for a while.
Oh, come on.
But I could do it. I mean, I could, yeah, because Rory doesn't... Oh, didn't Rory dress amazingly like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future?
The vest.
The vest. And one of the things is I watched those episodes and I looked at it and it something triggered that something was kind of like familiar about that, and I couldn't place it. And then like weeks later, I'm like, the vest.
Yeah, there were. I mean, it is. But what's really cool, I thought, at Galley, is with the cosplay. There's a lot more people there than Chicago TARDIS, I'd say, that are doing like the classic Doctors and Companions. Like I saw maybe 4 or 5 Aces one day, or you'd see a Zoe, or you'd see like completely random companions from the past, and you're like,
you know what cosplay costume companion you probably never have seen at any of them? Mel.
I did see a Mel.
Did you at Galley?
Yes.
Okay, well I've never seen one at Chicago TARDIS. I know that.
I saw a Mel.
I mean, there may have been one. I just didn't see one.
But I didn't see everyone, so there could have been.
Poor Bonnie Langford. Such a nice person.
Yeah. Oh, you know who you don't see, though?
Adric?
Yeah.
There was one at Chicago TARDIS, remember?
Oh, yeah.
There was one.
But he was there. Wasn't that the one that he was there?
Yeah,
for?
Matthew Waterhouse was there,
they were,
but, oh, well, still.
I don't know if they dress up as Adric when Matthew Waterhouse isn't there, but...
Okay, if you're gonna have that outfit, yeah, you probably do.
You guys, I know the Adric.
You know the guy?
Chicago TARDIS.
Oh, do you really?
Yes, I know the Adric.
That's awesome.
It's my friend's brother who I went to the wedding last September when we saw the final Doctor Who. So I do know him. I mean,
he did a good job.
Yeah.
He looked the part.
He did. Didn't remember his name.
Well, I was talking...
Like you're wondering if he's like an Adric fan
Yeah.
that would do it normally. I don't know.
Well, it is funny. Some people go through, because I was talking to a guy, and I wish I could remember his name, because he was doing a David Tennant, but he was doing David Tennant carrying his severed hand in the container.
Nice.
And I was talking to him about it. I'm like, you've got to get tired of holding that all day. And he was telling me, he's like, because it's all water in there. He's like, it's
Yeah,
like
it's
carrying around a tube. And he was showing me, like, sometimes I carry it like this, and then sometimes like this to break it up. And I was like, that is devotion, to carry around this heavy object all day just for the devotion to the character.
Yeah.
But he was telling me, like, yeah, it's really heavy, because I had to ask him. I'm like, isn't that... Because he had it, like, all day. I'm like, isn't that tiring to... And lots of people were taking pictures, you know, because it was cool.
Oh, interesting side note, by the way, to Galley1. If you Twitter at Galley1, it actually is not what you would expect. It's actually not for Gallifrey 1's Twitter account. It's an old man in Scotland that fishes.
What?
Yeah, Galley1, the Twitter name, is actually like an older gentleman in Scotland. And I found this out after I sent a Twitter out from our account after I opened it. And then I'm looking at somebody else's Twitter account. I'm like, wait a minute. And I looked up Gallifrey 1's Twitter account, and it was different. I'm like, well, who the hell did I send this to? And I looked, and it's like an older dude in Scotland that, like, there's a picture of him fishing or something on his... I'm like, oh. So I sent out, like, another message, kind of, like, apologizing, saying, hey, sorry, and, you know, that's not the right account. But, yeah, so... What were the odds of that going to be?
Wow. An old dude, like someone from Scotland?
Yeah, a guy from Scotland, a guy that lives, like, in Scotland. Like some older guy in Scotland.
He must
Crazy.
be... I'm sure that's probably not the first time someone's done that. So he must be going, what is this? Why
What
do
is
people...
Gallifrey 1? What the hell is Gallifrey?
Well, if
who
he's
is
from
it-
Scotland,
And who is
maybe...
this doctor? Why does no one know his name? Well, if he's from Scotland, he should have an idea.
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
think.
maybe if he was from some other country, maybe it would be even more confusing to him. But I don't know, maybe he has no idea. He's just going, what is this? People keep sending me tweets that I don't understand.
He's the most popular internet celebrity unintentionally ever.
Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, like, you open up your account, you come up with a good name, one name's taken, so you do another name, and then, lo and behold, Gallifrey, you get some people talking about some, like, crazy science fiction show. How does that happen then sometimes for, like, I don't know, but it happens.
I mean, it wouldn't. Realistically, it wouldn't have happened if Gallifrey 1 was just called Gallifrey, right? I mean, the only reason it got mixed up is because you're like, oh, it's Galley 1.
Yeah.
So what were your favorite parts of it? I mean, you were there for 3 days. You
Yeah.
saw Freema, right? You
Yep.
saw Sylvester. How is it set up? Is it set up like Chicago TARDIS where they have panels running side by side? I mean,
Yeah,
they do.
there's
Okay.
multiple panels going on. And
I would assume so, yeah.
I went to some of the other panels, but for the most part, I kind of stayed in the main programming where, the amount of guests they have is amazing. So you can sit in there all day and you just hear one person after another giving their interview. And also I ended up basically every day with, like, really close-up seats. So then I didn't want to leave and lose my seats for the later panels.
So they didn't kick you out or nothing?
No.
Like, between? That's nice.
No, they never kicked you out.
They don't do that in Chicago TARDIS either.
No.
They only do it at Wizard World.
Yeah. But yeah, there you just, because I was like maybe third row for all the panels, because I'd get there early enough and then, well.
Were there lines to wait in? I mean, were there long lines for panels?
I didn't
Not
really
like what
sit
we
for
thought
panels.
they would have been?
There were long lines for autographs and stuff
Well, that's
sometimes.
typical, yeah.
But, and they were all over the place, because sometimes you're like, what are you in line for? And Sylvester McCoy's, okay, so I can, because they'd be like outside a door for a panel, and I'm like, is this a line for a panel? No, you're an autograph line? Okay. But I went to a couple of the smaller ones, and since I was there with my mom, sometimes I said, Mom, save my seat, I'm going to go wander around a little, and...
How'd your mom like it? Now that I think about it.
She really liked it.
Your mom was not a Doctor Who fan before either, right?
No, she hadn't seen it.
And you saw it.
Yes,
And then she saw it.
I introduced her to it, because Well, she always liked sci-fi. Like, she loved Star Trek and stuff like that. But, yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, is this going to be too much Doctor Who for her? Because, it's all
Doctor
day.
Who overload.
Yeah, and...
Well, but it's only 3 days.
Yeah, but it is all day.
Well,
like,
that
every
is
day.
true.
So I was like, is she going to... But no, I said... Well, I told you earlier, at the end of the last panel, my mom was like, I'm kind of sad that it's over.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I was feeling that too, but because she was just like right before the closing ceremony, she was like, oh, that's the last panel.
Yeah, my mom was like, when I told her we had this convention to go to, it's for Doctor Who, she goes, oh, what's Doctor Who? I go, well, it's a show about this guy, he travels in time. You know what? You're not going to get it. Just forget it. Like, my dad knows it. And my dad's not the brightest guy in the bunch, but he knows Doctor Who and he likes it. My mom just, I know it would be like, it'd be beating a dead horse. It'd be like, forget it. Because even trying to watch an episode, I don't get it. So I really think it's cool that you and your mom have that to share.
Yeah, she was into it, but I mean, she is not anywhere near as obsessive as I am about, because I will say to her afterwards, like, did you notice that in the episode? They shouldn't have said this, or, and my mom's just like, I wasn't really paying attention to that. Like, I enjoy the episode. She's not like I am with the obsessiveness of, but why did he say that when this was... Although I will say, after watching Angels Take Manhattan, even my mom said, that made no sense. Like, she even was like, I liked it, but that made no sense. And I was like, yes, that... She's willing to forgive all the flaws that I sometimes get, like, but why is it doing that? But even that, she was like, it didn't quite make sense there. It was good, but she enjoyed it. She was fine with listening to Doctor Who all day, every day.
That's cool.
And sometimes...
I don't think my mom would be interested, because every time when I'm watching Doctor Who, she's like, what is all that noise? I'm like... It's my TV show, Mom. Parents. You don't understand.
I will say, when I first started talking to Joanna, you like, it surprised me because you watch Doctor Who, you're a Doctor Who fan, and it's awesome. But then you, like, said something about, I don't remember what show it was, but you're like, oh, I'm watching this, and I'm like, really? I'm like, those two fan bases usually don't cross over.
Well, you know what? Because, like, I watched...
I mean, it's fine that you watch whatever. I mean, But.
It was Security Diaries, because I watched it once because Freema was supposedly in it, and I watched it again, and I'm like, and I haven't watched it since.
Oh, is that what she's in?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Okay, because I knew she was in a show in America. I didn't know what show it was. Oh, well, that's okay. But still, it was, like, just kind of odd. And like I said, if you watch it and you like it, that's fine. Everyone has their things that they like. I mean, I watch stuff that... I'm a total nerd and geek or whatever, and play games and watch Doctor Who and Star Trek and Star Wars. And I, by all means, should not be a sports fan, but I love my Cubs and Blackhawks. I mean, but it was just funny because I'm like, I can't see those two fan bases crossing over. But Freema being in it now explains exactly why they would.
Although I probably don't need to say, Freema didn't get a lot of questions about the Carrie Diaries at Gallifrey 1. Some people get asked about their
that's true.
other stuff. People didn't ask her so much. Just like, oh, are you still going to be on it? People didn't have, like... I mean, like, when Mark Shepard was up for his panel, I mean, he was getting asked about everything under the sun that he's done.
He's done some great roles, though,
yeah.
too.
So, I mean, he was, like... And Ben Browder, people were asking him all about other stuff. But some people... I mean, well, Sylvester McCoy...
No, he's in Hobbit.
Yeah, gets all sorts of questions about that he'd never answer. I swear, I don't think he would learn anything listening to him. He's entertaining, and I loved his panel.
He's got some great stories.
But he was not, at Gallifrey, he was not seriously answering any questions during his panel. It was all just goofy answers.
Goofy banter.
Which I was fine with. I was like, okay, this is entertaining. Go for it, but...
How's that low battery already? Stupid baby monitor. Battery lasts like an hour.
We've been on for an hour.
60...
10 minutes.
67 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yep.
But so we probably should get near a point where we can wrap it.
Yeah.
But so what was your favorite stuff there?
Well, I obviously, as I said, Sylvester McCoy's
Sure.
panel was a highlight. Well, I mean, just personally for me, getting to talk to Dan Starkey and getting a picture was cool.
Oh, you got a picture with him? That's
Yeah,
cool.
I have
That's cool.
a picture with him. I felt guilty because I was like, does he sell his pictures
I'm sure
here?
he does,
Or
but-
he probably does, but I'm like, I'm standing here with him and I've got a camera.
It doesn't
So
hurt to ask.
he was fine with it. He was like, okay, go ahead. I also talked to Peter Purvis, who's Stephen, First Doctor's companion.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I was talking to him because he actually mentioned in his panel that he'd been a teacher.
In real life?
Yeah, he
Oh, no
started
kidding.
out teaching math. So
you're well on your way to becoming a companion.
So I was talking to him actually about teaching math, and because he said teaching was a lot like acting,
Right.
and the moderator of his panel gave a reaction that I thought was kind of like he didn't see it at all, and he
Okay.
was like, "What?" And so I was like talking to him later because I got the chance. That's what I thought at Gallifrey. The guests were like I thought more accessible. Because
Really?
I could just walk up to him and have this conversation, whereas normally you'd be in a line to pay for your autograph, and then you're shuffled off, and if you talk to him, you're holding up the line, and he just was like at a table, and you could walk up and get things signed, but yeah, we were talking about how teaching and acting were kind of similar, because you're performing all day, and yeah, it was kind of cool to just be able to talk to people, like, be able to go, oh, hey, did you, and you didn't feel like, I mean, there was no line, you're not going, oh, I'm taking up their, I mean, they were just kind of there and happy to talk to people
That's cool.
all day.
That's good.
But yeah, that was, I mean,
Somebody comes up for an autograph, he's like, oh, excuse me for a second. Yeah, here you go. And he goes back to talking to you.
I did pay for an autograph of his because I was taking up his time, so I felt like I should. But, and I didn't mind, but yeah, I was like, I was like, I don't know if I need to spend the money for the autograph, but I will. It was only $20.
That's
so,
not much.
Yeah, I was like, okay, since I took up his time when he could be making more money signing things. But yeah, they were, even Freema was like signing at a table in the dealer's room.
Really?
So you could see her right there. She was signing. The line was incredibly long for her. She wasn't just sitting there for
Yeah.
people to wander up and chat. But
Right.
they were all like right there. They weren't away. Like it seems like at Chicago TARDIS, they're more hidden away in other rooms.
I think it's just because of the layout of the hotel. You know?
Yeah, but it's
Like, the dealer room is not big enough to have the signings at the same time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that's probably just part of it. It's probably just
Yeah.
more layout.
But it just seemed like they were so much more. 'Cause, yeah, I just would like chat with, like, see Dan Starkey and go, "Oh, hey, I loved your performance in Doctor Who," and he just stops and chats. I saw both of them around a lot. They seem to be. But what's also kind of cool is seeing the people on the stage, and they're like taking pictures of the audience.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
for them, you could tell they really, their mind is like blown by the fact that
That many people are out
3,000
there.
people are there to listen to.
Yeah, the first time I saw that was at Wizard World, I think last year or the year before, and they came out. It might have been the guys from Torchwood, you know, Gareth and Gareth Lloyd. What's the other guy? Kai Owen, yeah, who loves his United Soccer Club, but I think it was them that had like camcorders when they walked out, and they were filming the crowd. And, I think that definitely shows that they appreciate, us as much as we appreciate them, which is cool.
I am probably a little blur in one of the pictures Freema took.
Awesome.
She took a picture
Excellent.
right in front of my. I thought I am probably just a little blur, but I'm
That's
there.
very cool.
But now you have a connection. So next time you see her, that little blur, three, like, kind of look like Amy Pond, only smeared? That's
Yeah.
me.
Well, somebody, I wish I remembered who. I don't know if it was Sylvester McCoy. Maybe it was Sylvester McCoy took a picture of the audience, and he was joking that he was going to get the audience to sign it. And then he was like, that would probably cost me like $3,000 to pay for all the audience autographs.
That'd be awesome, though.
But yeah, they were, I mean, I have an autographed Sylvester McCoy picture now.
Nice.
Ooh.
Him and Steven.
She just said
An
that.
odd
She
pairing.
just said that and like blinked her eyes, like fluttering her eyelashes.
Yes. It was very exciting. But I didn't chat with Sylvester McCoy. But yeah, basically, I mean, everything was just amazing there. To be surrounded by Doctor Who all day.
Cool.
And
I mean, I'm assuming the fans were the fans like you'd have here.
Mhm.
Everybody, it seems like everybody gets along. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't see like Doctor Who fans really at each other's throats, except for companion hatred.
yeah, people pretty much got along. It was peaceful.
That's good. Awesome. So you had a good time?
Yep.
Would you go back?
Yes, I would.
Are you already planning on how you could do it next year?
I was trying to figure that out, yeah. Even my mom was like, I go back.
That's cool.
She was like, if you get memberships, I'll go.
I would really love to make enough money from the podcast and the website. I've said this before, to where we could go and do that on from it, or even with the other podcasts, to go to like Comic-Con or go wherever. It'd be really nice. So maybe one day. I don't think I could write that off on taxes.
No, but yeah, I was already figuring out, like, can I make it? But
She's saving already. She started a special bank account. That's cool. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
yes, it was fun.
Wow. What kind of, dealers, what kind of things were being sold? I mean, did you buy anything fun for yourself?
Well,
Besides the autographs.
I was trying to control myself, because obviously I spent the money to go out there.
Yeah.
So I tried to limit my time in the dealer's room. But, what did I get? Well, I think I got one of the, Big Finish audios, because they always have that massive table there, and I actually bought a couple of the Target novelizations, because I hadn't read any, and they had a massive display, but I was trying to behave, because I could have bought, 20 million things there.
Yeah.
But it was... Although, I should mention, because that was something that my mom reminded me of, that another big thing it was a panel for, what was Churchill and the Monsters. So it was all the people that played Monsters, and Ian McNeice. They worked him in there. And they were talking about, and you could tell...
The delightful old pervert.
You could tell a big thing for them was having their action figures.
Oh, I'm sure.
They were all, so proud of their action figures, and they're going... and some people are like, I don't have an action figure yet. And then, she was saying, Neve McIntosh was like, well, technically, I think I have 3 now. Because, every time they make a Silurian woman, it's her.
That's
so
true.
they were comparing action figures. And, Ian McNeice said that he gave all of his children his Churchill action figure for Christmas.
Nice.
And he said they were all excited, and he was all proud. So I was like... That was actually
Adorable.
kind of interesting to see how excited they all were. I have an action figure now. Because they were selling them in the dealer's room. But
Yeah. I would love to have an action figure. That's the next step in our marketing campaign.
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
I just found out our the host for the website, which isn't just our stuff. I mean, it's all the stuff me and my friends do. They actually are set up for commerce now, where you could sell products on it. So I can start a store and sell branded T-shirts and stuff for everything. So we gotta all talk about that one day.
We gotta get
Oh,
our
that could be
action
fun.
figures.
Yeah, maybe we have Todd McFarlane make them. That wouldn't be too expensive at all.
No.
But
no big deal.
but I think that's I guess that's about it for tonight's episode, huh? I mean,
Yeah.
we're at 75 minutes. We got a small glimpse inside of Chicago. Inside of Gallifrey 1.
Yep.
So
And
I'm glad you had a great time. That's awesome. So. And it sounds like Joanna is still extremely jealous.
Yes, I am.
So I guess that's.
I am. So, but then again, I'm going to C2E2 in April. So.
That's right, you are. So we'll have. Well, there'll be some Doctor Who coverage from that because I think Peter Davison's going to be there, isn't he?
He's going to be there. There's always something Doctor Who there. There's tons of Doctor Who cosplayers there. So, and if I see anything Doctor Who, I will take pictures of it.
Cool. So that's been episode
3
of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed making it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm John.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Joanna.
And we'll see you. Not see you, but we'll be back in about 2 weeks. Take care and thanks for listening.
Have a great night.